You're listening to Main Character Manifesto, wellness, mindset, and identity shifts that help you live the life you don't need an escape from. I am Ceci, your no BS life coach and wellness bestie. Around here, it's simple. Eat what you love, move with purpose, think bigger, and show the hell up. Let's get into it. Hello, beautiful people. How is everybody doing? I had such a great week planned. I was on top of things. I had things scheduled. I was overly scheduled, to be quite honest. And then, you know what happens? Life throws you a curveball, and then everything gets out of place. So I figured, you know what? What a great time to talk about this on an episode right before going into the holidays, because the holiday season is right when things start to get a little crazy. People's schedules are all over the place. People start traveling. Work is up and down. So, and if you're listening in the future, then this is going to apply to you anyways, because life will throw you curveballs at all seasons of the year, not just the holiday season. So we are going to make this a really amazing episode, and we're going to learn to pivot with the curveballs, with the waves, with the peaks and valleys. We're just going to go with the flow because we're not going to give up. So let's go into a little bit of what my week has been like to give a little context. I had a little medical procedure done that was supposed to be really easy, going into Kaiser, just having something done, no anesthetics needed. Actually, I think they were supposed to numb me. And I'm not going to go into details on what it was, because that's not necessary. It's just, it was not a fun situation. The things women have to go through. It's not even like a cosmetic procedure. At least if it would have been ooh, yeah, I got something cosmetic, at least I wanted to have it done. No, it was nothing like that. And if there's men listening, I feel like you guys need to have a little bit more empathy for us, because the things that we go through is wild. I was not expecting to walk out of this appointment practically crawling out of the room. I don't know. It was so incredibly painful. The doctor was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. This is taking longer than expected. It must be so painful. How are you doing? Are you holding up?" And I was like, "Yeah, girl, I'm okay." I was literally had my eyes closed. I was meditating. I was just breathing and just trying to get through that moment, because it was wild. And so finally it was done, and they were like, "Okay, take a few moments. You can just compose yourself, and can you get up?" Right? And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And she gave me a wet towel to put on top of my head. And I think she was worried I was going to faint when I got up. So finally I get up, and I did feel like I was going to faint. I kind of started to see those dark spots. And let me just tell you, I have fainted before in public. So it's a fear of mine. Years ago, when I was waking up super early and doing excessive cardio, I would just get on the treadmill and run for 30 minutes or an hour. And I must have not been breathing correctly. I don't know what happened that one time years ago, that I must have stopped really suddenly. So going from running for 30 minutes to just suddenly stopping, I got off the treadmill, and then all of a sudden I just felt like I was boop, I hit something, and then the next thing I know, there's people around me. I fainted in the gym. It was so embarrassing. So embarrassing. And then I fainted again the next time that I fainted while I was working out. It was at home. I used to have an elliptical at home, and I was working out, and I did the same thing. All of a sudden I stopped, and then that's when I woke up on the floor. So, needless to say, coming back to this appointment that I was at, I got up. I'm like, okay, just get out of here. Don't faint. Don't make a scene. You're fine. Like, why was I so worried about fainting inside of the doctor's office, or forget what they're called, And I'm like, why was I so worried about that? It would have been totally fine. If I fainted there, I'm already at Kaiser. They're doctors and nurses. They would have just handled it. I was actually in the perfect place to faint. But did I allow that to happen? Of course not. I mean, I'm also glad that it didn't happen. I was able to walk out. But what did I do? I took myself to the bathroom, and I was there for 20 or 30 minutes because I was in so much pain that I was nauseous. Another thing, I forgot to eat. They told me to eat something before I went, and I totally forgot until I was mid appointment. So yeah, I think this is a reminder for all of you listening to don't be so worried. Don't take yourself so seriously that you basically crawl out of your doctor's appointment because you're embarrassed to faint in front of the doctor. That's kind of silly of me. So I am calling myself out on that, that's definitely not necessary. But everything's fine. Everything's fine. It was just unexpected. I wasn't expecting to be under that much pain. There was I ended up staying in the bathroom for a while, and then I went to the cafeteria, got a ginger ale, and then for the next few days I was just kind of taking it easy, and that brought a little bit of stress to me because I had some things that were lined up. I was going to be a part of a photo shoot for an event that's coming up, and sometimes life says, no, girl, no. You have to slow down. You have to slow down. You have to take care of your body, and you have to just go with the flow because this is what your body needs. And that's exactly why I said, this is the perfect time. Look at what I just went through, and I'm sure there's so many people out here that are going to be listening, that are going to be going through something similar where something is thrown at them in their life and they have to pivot, they have to shift, and they have to be like, you know what, let me surrender, let me just go into this, what is being called for me to do, and then things will all work out. Not everything has to be perfect all the time. Things will actually work out exactly as they should, even if they look differently than what you imagined or what you were hoping for. I think in the end, it's always something that is a good outcome. So, thank you for hanging in there. That was a little long-winded intro, but I feel like we're a family. This is like a close-knit circle of friends, and we just tell each other what's going on. So if you guys have anything going on, if you relate, drop it in the comments. Tell me what's going on with you. DM me. Let's chat. I'm always inviting you guys to chat with me because I would love to hear from you. I love hearing from you guys. So I love it when you do. But the main reason why I thought it was so important for me to do this episode, not only because it's literally what just happened to me, but it's also because Success isn't about when things go perfectly. It's about how you handle things when they don't, right? So, kind of like how they say it doesn't matter how many times you fall. What matters is how many times you get back up. It doesn't matter when you keep getting triggered by something. That doesn't mean that you haven't healed. What matters is how you are reacting to the things that trigger you. We are human. There's no way that we can all of a sudden turn off our emotions and turn everything off where we can be like, I'm healed. I'm not going to feel anything. I'm not going to react. I'm just going to be this perfect little angel. That's not what healing means. Healing means that you have the tools to actively react in a positive way. Now, that sometimes means you're not reacting, that sometimes means you're walking away, and then you know that you have these tools to use for whatever moment that comes up. It's all about expecting the unexpected, learning how to stay grounded even when things get so messy. And believe me, they get messy. This used to be me. I used to think this same exact way. So many of us think that success happens when everything aligns. Routines, mindset, motivation, energy. I feel like I kept waiting for everything to align perfectly. I kept thinking like, oh my God, my life is so messy. It's chaotic. It's not organized. It's this, it's that. When am I ever gonna be at the place where I want to be or get my goals done or whatever it is? I thought everything had to be perfect in order to move forward and see progress. But in reality, real growth happens in the in-between moments when things feel uncertain or inconvenient. It's not when everything is perfect. It's when you learn to shift and to move with the waves. I feel like the more that we resist the shift and the change and the pivots, the harder our life gets, because it's almost like life is telling us, all right, we have to pivot. You have to change lanes. You're going down the wrong path. You have to go to a different path. So then life pivots you. It shifts you. It throws a curveball and it makes you get out of the lane that you're in. What that does is it makes us uncomfortable because in our mind, we're thinking, oh my God, this is so annoying. I already had this planned. I was going to go straight and I am on this road for another, however many miles. And I already have my plan. I'm going to take a rest stop. This is what I'm doing. And then life says, nope, wrong. That's not what you're doing. And then it makes you change lanes and go down a different direction. And then that makes you feel uncomfortable. It's resistance. But sometimes it's what life wants you to do. Sometimes that road is the perfect road that you were supposed to go down all along. Also, what it does is it teaches you tools. It teaches you how to stay on your toes, how to let go of that control, how to let go of being so perfect, and how to have flexibility. The more you allow yourself to pivot and to change course and to accept when things change, the easier it's going to be for you to keep moving forward. Because a lot of the times what happens when we get thrown off course, it's almost like we completely fall off the horse, right? Let's say that you are working out. I feel like this used to happen to me all the time, like years before. I used to be working out and I would be on a really great workout schedule and super focused. I was being perfect, eating perfect, like working out, sleeping, doing all the things. And then I would be overextending myself because I was not flexible with whatever was going on. I was overworking. And then my body would be like, okay, you've done too much. So then it would throw that curveball. I would get sick. I would not be able to work out for 3-4 days, maybe 5. And then that would just completely throw me off. I would go down a spiral. I would feel like a failure. I would feel like all of my gains were lost. And then it would sometimes take me a month, maybe more, maybe less, but it was very sporadic. I would not be able to just get back up. Okay, I feel better. Let me get back into routine. And that is a mindset shift. That is one of the things that I have been able to accomplish with all of this personal development and really inner work and mindset shifts, and just really, really digging deep down inside and realizing it doesn't have to be perfect. This is a lifestyle. This is not a diet. This is something that I want for my health. So really now the way that I look at it, I think about an athlete. Okay, well, I am going to take care of my body because my body is a machine that I want to take care of. So if my body can't work out now, I'm going to give it rest so that it can recover, and then it can perform better when I feel better. And then I just go right back to work. And I apply that same mindset when it comes to all the different areas of my life. So when it comes to work, if there's something that gets thrown off, like the podcast, I love doing video podcast. And when I'm not able to do a video podcast because it's not going to meet the deadline, then it stresses me out. But now I have realized that it is not about being perfect all the time. Really, at the end of the day, I really want to stick to my schedule and have the podcast out every week. And if it's not a video every single time, it's not the end of the world. So that's me being flexible, and that's me going with the flow and understanding that there's peaks and valleys, and that there's going to be change that happens that I can't control, but it's in how I am able to pivot and I am able to pick right back up and just keep moving forward. That's what I want you guys to take away from this episode. How can you apply that into your own life? Because at the end of the day, the people who reach their goals aren't the ones who had perfect conditions. They're the ones who kept going despite the imperfection. So now let's talk about what we can do when we get thrown off track. The first thing is awareness, right? So pause, acknowledge what is happening without spiraling. I think if you take a moment to really think about oh my God, that's going to totally throw off all of my plans, and just take a moment, take a second and think, okay, what is going on? And then pivot. Ask yourself, what can I do right now instead of focusing on what you cannot? Because if you focus on what is in your control, then you're not going to feel like you're spiraling. You're going to feel like you still have some control, even though things are changing. The next thing you want to do is regroup. When you feel ready, and you've taken your time, you've kind of assessed the situation, you're not going to freak out, you're going to ease back into your rhythm, right? So bouncing back does not mean rushing back into things. It means returning with more awareness. So for instance, if you are sick right now and you're coming back from having a sickness or an illness and you really want to get back into the things that you used to do, getting back into rhythm doesn't mean going as hard as you used to go. It just means setting a new standard for what you can do at the moment. because a lot of the times we overwork ourselves when we think like, oh my God, I have to get right back into exactly what I was doing before and exactly into like the level, the intensity, and all of those things. And that's just not the reality. Like sometimes our body can't do that. So we really have to learn to listen to our body, listen to our mind, and stop rushing into things, you know? Because sometimes your body gets sick and it's just a sign that you're doing too much and that you need to cancel and you need to take that time for yourself. Because if we are overworking our body and we don't take that time, our body will make sure that we are unable to go somewhere. Like what happened to me recently. It was just like, no, sorry, cute story, but you're not going. Sit your ass down. That's literally what happened. Now, once we kind of have that awareness, we're like, all right, what are we doing? I think it's really important to do a mindset reframe. So stop seeing detours as failures. They're part of the map. If we think about like the universe, right? Life, the universe, God, whoever you believe in. That is the ultimate higher power that is planning our life. Whether you believe it or not, you already know that life is going to throw you curveballs. Things are going to change. If you should expect something, is that you should expect the unexpected. So you should know that understanding that these things are going to happen and that you're not failing and that you're not falling behind because these little detours happen, that's going to help you so much in how you're going to keep moving forward toward your goals. Because how many successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, billionaires, millionaires have said it? I mean, I can probably Google right now how many people have said this, but success is not a straight line, right? So it's a dance between rest, effort, and adaptation. And it's so true. I mean, even with my own, I love talking about fitness and health because it's so relatable in so many other areas of our life. For example, when I weigh myself every single day because it helps me to track where I'm at, where I'm going, how my body's reacting to what I'm doing, how I'm progressing. It's like, I want to see that like I am putting in the work at the gym. I'm putting in the work with my nutrition, and I want to see how my body reacts. I also want to see when I'm not putting in the work and when I'm more relaxed, I want to see what happens as well. So I used to be deathly afraid of weighing myself, but now because I look at it as an athlete, it is much easier. I'm not going to say that I'm always excited about weighing myself because, you know, coming back from vacation, sometimes we get on the scale and we're like, oh my God, I'm so scared. But you know why I keep doing it? Because it keeps me accountable. It is proven. Let me just tell you, it is proven that the people that weigh themselves every day, they are the people that are able to maintain their weight at a more stable level. So now I know that if somebody has a eating disorder and something that's a little bit more intense, then I would definitely recommend that you talk to your medical advisor. This is not what I'm talking about right now. I know that would be a more sensitive situation. This is more of like, you know, someone who definitely has had emotional eating issues. But I definitely am blessed to not have had an intense eating disorder. I mean, I still feel like food has been a part of my life and it's a big connection to my emotions and all of that. But not to go as far as like, you know, having an issue weighing myself. Okay, enough of that. So I digressed. I'm sorry. So my whole point was to say that success is not a straight line. When I look at my weight, when I started a year ago with my trainer, and when I started, I think I got off birth control, and then like my weight skyrocketed, and then it was going up and down, and then finally it like stabilized, and then I was like, oh, it's not working, and then I got serious, I got honest, and I was like, okay, no. It's amazing what like the progress that you will make when you start being honest with yourself. So I started to be honest. I started to track everything. I started to do all my workouts. I stopped being lazy about certain things. And then I started to see the weight like go down, go down, go down. But even then, success was not a straight line. It would go up, it would go down. It would go up twice, it would go down 3 times. And it's been up and down, up and down, up and down. And I feel like that's the same thing of like how my entrepreneurial life has been as well. I feel like there's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's just not linear. But the fact that we're moving forward, that's what matters. That's what you need to focus on. Am I progressing? Am I learning something? Am I going in the direction that I want to be going? What is my goal? That's why it's so important to keep checking in with yourself and keep seeing like, okay, what is the ultimate goal? Where do I want to be? And am I going in that direction? If all of the answers is yes, you are moving forward, yes, you're going in the right direction, and yes, you're moving toward your goal, then you're doing fine. It doesn't matter if you had 3 detours, you're still going in the same direction. So I feel like for me, one of the things that I know I have to change if I want to keep leveling up, I feel like I am at this like crossroads where I see myself expanding into very uncomfortable areas in my business. So I know that there has to be more structure, more systems, and things to help me support my business so that I can have that clear vision of the road that I'm going. And sometimes that is like making sure that you know what your goal is and planning it, talking about it monthly or looking at it weekly and being like, I know somebody that plans out their schedule. And actually, this is what happens. I've been doing a lot of research on highly successful men and women. And the things that they do is they plan, they forecast, they look at the future, they think about what they want to do and they plan it, they write it down, they put it in their calendar. And even though I am a calendar girly, I haven't been a real calendar girly, but I want to be like that calendar girly. I want to have systems. I want it to be so clear that nothing gets missed. I love checking a list. And I want to be that person that just checks the list off because at the end of the day, I know some people are like, ew, that sounds horrible, systems, list. But you know what's even more horrible? Feeling chaos, feeling like things are chaotic and scrambled and like you don't know what step to take because you don't know what's coming next. But personally, I want to know what's coming next. I want to plan. I want to know what are the most important things that I want to focus on this week. What are the most important things I want to focus on today? And when life throws a pivot, you can look at your plan and be like, all right, cool. We need to pivot. Let me see how I can rearrange the things that are supposed to get done. And then having that structure, having that clarity, having that plan is going to help you so much to know how to move when that curveball is thrown your way. And don't you guys worry, I am working on setting up some systems and plans and all the things to get myself organized and do all of the things that I want to do that I just talked about. So I will be sharing them with you guys. Of course, I'm not going to be gatekeeping. I want to figure out how it's going to work and what works best. And then once I figure it out, of course, you better believe I'm going to be sharing my systems with you guys. Because if I win, I want you guys to win. And let me just tell you, I want you to listen to this and I want it to be embedded. All right. Every setback is just a setup for a stronger comeback. Ooh, that is good. Let me hear it from the back, right? Like that is so good. Just because you had a setback doesn't mean that you're not moving forward. That just means that you're going to come back even stronger, baby. So, of course, we're going to do a little homework, some takeaways. I'm going to need you to first audit your response. The next time something goes wrong, pause and ask, am I resisting or am I responding? Number 2, create an emergency plan. Write down 3 things you can do when life throws you off track. For example, a rest day, walk, journaling. If you need to take a moment, take a moment. Number 3, revisit your why. Reminding yourself why you started, it helps you realign faster when things go sideways. So revisiting your why can be like, maybe you had a big event that you can't go to and there's nothing that you can do about it, right? But like if there is something that maybe you can move it to another day, or maybe somebody else can go for you, or whatever it is, at the end of the day, you know that you have to take care of yourself first. Okay, so number 4, celebrate the bounce back. When you get back on track, even in the smallest way, acknowledge it. That's how you build up consistency. That's how you build confidence. And that's how you're going to be able to really build up that pivoting strength where you're going to have resilience and you're going to be able to pivot easier the next time something happens. So, to recap, it is not about never falling off track. It's about how fast you get back up. And remember, if life has thrown you off lately, it is okay. Take the time you need, then step back into your power. Remember, your story isn't waiting to be written. It's happening now. Own it, love it, live it. Keep choosing growth. Keep choosing you. I'll see you in the next episodes. Bye, besties.